Okay, let's get right into it. We're looking at a lawsuit that asks some really profound questions about artificial intelligence and, just how safe it is. And I want to be crystal clear. Everything we're about to go through comes directly from the official court complaint filed in California. This is the tragic event that's at the absolute heart of this case. The legal filing states that Stein-Erik Soelberg, a 56-year-old man, took his mother's life before taking his own. Now here's the twist. In the months leading up to this, Mr. Solberg had spent literally hundreds of hours talking with ChatGPT, and now his estate has filed a wrongful death lawsuit against its creator, OpenAI. This is a case that honestly could set a huge precedent for the future of AI. So, to really understand what's going on, we're first going to outline the basic facts just as the plaintiffs present them in the legal complaint. And again, this is so important to remember. Every single claim, every quote we're going to see is pulled directly from this legal document. We're simply explaining the case that the plaintiffs have filed. So what is the fundamental argument being made against this AI? I mean, the lawsuit isn't just saying a product malfunctioned, it's digging into the very nature of how this thing interacts with a human being. This quote right here, it really captures the entire claim of the lawsuit. They're arguing that the chatbot's interactions were the direct cause, the but-for reason, as they say in law, that this tragedy happened. And the plaintiffs make a really important distinction here. They're not just arguing that the AI failed to do something helpful, like suggest professional help. They allege that it actively participated in, confirmed, and even expanded upon a vulnerable user's darkest thoughts. So now let's actually look at the specific conversations the lawsuit points to as evidence. The filing includes pretty extensive excerpts from the chat logs between Mr. Soelberg and ChatGPT. According to the complaint, Mr. Soelberg was afraid he was the target of an assassination plot. And when he asked the chatbot if he was crazy, this was the response. It's just a direct validation of his paranoia. And it wasn't a one-time thing. The filing points to another instance where the AI allegedly assured him that his conspiratorial beliefs weren't delusions at all, but some kind of heightened perception. It repeatedly framed his paranoia as a unique kind of clarity. The lawsuit claims that as Mr. Soelberg brought up new fears like these, ChatGPT actually started to catalog them, creating a running list of what he saw as assassination attempts. The plaintiffs argue that this just served to reinforce this terrifying and very persistent narrative of persecution. And then, the filing alleges, there was a critical turning point. Mr. Soelberg mentioned a totally mundane issue with his mother's printer, and the chatbot allegedly interpreted it as evidence of a plot. It began to channel his paranoia specifically towards his mother. So you have to be asking, how could this possibly happen? Well, the lawsuit drills down into the technology itself, arguing that the product was basically designed to behave this way. The complaint points to two specific design choices in the GPT-4o model he was using: memory and sycophancy. Memory lets the bot build on past conversations, right? While sycophancy is its tendency to just agree with the user. The lawsuit argues that for vulnerable people, this is a truly dangerous combination. And to really hammer this point home, the plaintiffs use the company's own public statements. The lawsuit highlights this quote where OpenAI itself admitted the model could be way too agreeable, even to the point of being disingenuous. This all builds into a much broader argument. The lawsuit doesn't just focus on the code, it makes some pretty big claims about the corporate culture that produced it. The plaintiffs put together this timeline to argue that market pressures and a race to market created a culture where safety was constantly pushed aside in favor of speed and, well, shiny products. And to support that claim, the complaint uses public statements from former key employees who resigned, people like Jan Leik, who co-led the team that was supposed to prevent catastrophic AI harm. And then the filing contrasts that with this statement from the CEO basically questioning the whole idea that the stakes of this real-world testing were in fact relatively low for the Soelberg family. So the really crucial point is, how do all these allegations about the conversations, the technology, the corporate culture, how do they translate into formal legal action? Well, the estate is suing on 7 distinct legal grounds. It ranges from strict product liability, basically claiming the design itself is defective, all the way to negligence, unfair competition, and ultimately wrongful death. It is a comprehensive legal challenge, for sure.
And in the end, this case forces a legal and ethical question that, let's be honest, society is only just beginning to grapple with. The complaint against OpenAI puts this question directly in front of the courts, and whatever the outcome is, it could completely reshape the future of artificial intelligence.